Hello. Good afternoon, members. Welcome back for the last session of today's conference. This is last session wherein we have merged two speakers together. Friends, I would request to please settle down. Members standing at the door, please come in, and I would request dignitaries to please come on dais. Request Chairman sir to please escort SS Gupta ji. Friends, we had an expert during our second session from Bangalore, basically from Karnataka. Now we have an expert from Maharashtra, from Mumbai. The versatility or the aggression which our second speaker had because of his confidence or his knowledge by his words or his voice, I can guarantee a similar or I would say similar and equivalent feedback we received last time also for CASS Gupta ji, a renowned speaker on indirect taxes. I welcome sir on behalf of Vasai branch of WIRC. To begin with, I would request CA Vimal Agarwal ji to please offer a floral bouquet to our speaker. Another speaker for the same session, CA Unmesh Narvekar ji, who is also past chairman of Vasai branch of WIRC. We welcome him. I would request C. Ankit Rathi, chairman Vikasa, to please hand over a floral bouquet to welcome him. I would request CA Bala Subramaniam to please give a formal introduction about our first speaker, CASS Gupta ji.
Good evening, members. After a tea break, our today's speaker is SS Gupta ji. It's my pleasure to introduce such a learned speaker. He's a chartered accountant. He is having his office in Goregaon, and he is a chartered accountant cleared in 1982 and secured a 6th and 26th rank in inter and final respectively. He is a cost accountant clearing in 1980, and he has cleared from CS also in 1981. He has a team of 30 chartered accountants under him and serving around 800 clients. His main area of practice is GST, advising on GST and setting up systems for migrating to GST. He is closely associated with taxmen for developing softwares with GST laws. His main areas of advice is in relation to taxes regarding GST, customs, excise, service tax, foreign trade policies. He is advising on matters relating to 100% EOU, SEZ. His other area of practice is litigation areas, where he reply to show cause notices issued by GST, excise, customs, DGFT, and service tax authority. He is into drafting appeals to various appellate authorities and also appearing before the various authorities. He has conducted excise and service tax audit. He has been into the work of obtaining rebates from excise Department of Maritime Commissioner. He has also authored books, various books. To name some of them is Service Tax: How to Meet Your Obligations. He has authored book on GST and practice, and also in GST How to Meet Your Obligations. And he has given various articles to journals and have been a regular faculty member for seminars, lectures organized by ICAI, ICWA, IMA, and IMC. His other non-professional or social activity is that he has been a president of Bharat Vikas Parishad Maharashtra, which is having around 1,200 branches all over India. He has also been a secretary of Arogya Foundation of India. And apart from that, some other social activity also he is associated. So with this short introduction, I request all the participants to give a warm welcome to our today's speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. I would request CA Unmesh Narvikar ji, our past chairman of Vassi branch of WIRC. He is going to give a brief of the subject on which SS Gupta ji is going to speak. I would request Unmesh ji, please come and take the dais.
Good evening, friends. The tone has been set in the morning for this conference, and the overwhelming response from the members. I think it's going to be a fantastic 2 days session for all of us, a very learning session. And a very big task is given to me to speak before the stalwarts of this profession and authority on the subject, CSS Gupta sir. Friends, the topic that we are going to discuss is the valuation, a very important subject for all of us. And it's very important for us to know the nitty-gritty of the valuation. Otherwise, the impact that is going to be there will be very dangerous. So let's just have a brief of this introduction, and the detailed discussion will be followed by Gupta sir. What is valuation? Consideration is quid pro quo in a contract, and a price is a consideration expressed in money terms. We are talking about the taxability or the valuation of taxable supply. So in that respect, we need to understand the value. Value is the price prevalent when a transaction takes place under controlled conditions. And what is valuation? Is the study of all those circumstances and assessments of steps to reverse or rectify the effect of contractual or other arrangements that may suppress or underestimate the value of the transaction. So it is the important part we need to understand how the fair transactions have been done and how the fair value has been arrived. So based on this, we can come to know what valuation is. In generally appraising or estimating the worth of something having economic or monetary value. In finance, valuation is the process of determining the present value of asset, but in taxation, valuation is the process of determining the base on which the tax is to be levied. Now what CGST, SGST, IGST, all these are going to be levied on certain assessable value. And what is that value? If that value gets changed, your tax component, tax effect will get changed. And that's more important for us to understand how the valuation is to be determined. Now in GST regime, how are we going to value this? The taxable supply of goods or services is to be valued at certain mechanism. And for that, we have different things. When you talk about the valuation, the various things comes in our mind. Maybe the cost of goods or services, that could be one method. The transaction value between two parties, that could be one method. Market valuation, that is open market pricing. Valuation of similar products, identical products or similar products, that can also be a comparable value method. Any other valuation reasonably calculated based on the general principles, that is the residual method. Valuation in case of related parties, when there is a related party, there is influence on the transaction value. And that's why there are certain rules have been introduced for the valuation purposes. So valuation, special types of transactions, especially money exchange cases or airfares, in those cases there are certain other mechanisms, pure agent concept. There are various ways the valuations have been done. So chapter 4 covers the section 15, which talks about the valuation of taxable supply of goods and services. So under valuation, we will see the various concepts from the excise, VAT, or in customs are brought in this current CGST law. like the transaction value is from excise, pure agent concept that we see in the service tax, whereas the goods of identical or like quality or kind is basically derived from the customs. So this act is nothing but various combinations have been merged into one, and those concepts are also come into this CGST act when we talked about the valuation. Section 15 is common for valuation of supply of goods and services. So there is no separate section for valuation of goods or valuation of services, but section 15 talks about the valuation of goods and services. Section 15 is also common for all type of taxes, that is CGST, SGST, UTGST or IGST. So under different laws there are no different sections, exceptions are in some cases, and reference to valuation rules is required only in certain cases, specified cases that will come and see in detail discussion about the valuation rules. Section 15 talks about the different types of valuation. 15.1 talks about the transaction value. 15.2 talks about the inclusion in transaction value, what things can be included in the transaction. Certain items till the supply, the delivery has been taking place, things will be included in the transaction value. 15.3 talks about the exclusions, discounts, something like which cannot be included in the valuation, because if it is pre-decided or there is an agreement, then only that can be considered like this. 15.4 talks about the, if you are unable to deal with the provisions of section 15.1, 15.2, then you have to determine the valuation based on the prescribed methods. And 15.5 is the valuation of supplies as may be notified by the government on the recommendation of the council. These are in special circumstances. So that's about the section 15 talks about the valuation. And there are corresponding rules. Certain areas where valuation is not been able to determine based on section 15, you have to refer to the rules. Section 15.4, which is a category where we need to go with the rules. We have to resort to the rules. When the buyer and sellers are related parties, then definitely there is an influence on the pricing, transaction value. Definitely we have to refer to the rules. When the price is not the sole consideration, it is linked with certain things. Now if you are purchasing some items from the stores, in exchange you are also giving some old item. So the price is not only what you pay money, but along with some goods are being also exchanged. So in that circumstances, it is not only the sole price is not the sole consideration. In that case, you have to refer to the rules. There are reasons to doubt about the transaction value. In such circumstances, you have to refer to the rules. So transactions of pure agent, money changers, etc., and all other notified transactions. In such circumstances, we need to go to rules to understand the value of the supply. The various rules, rule 1 under valuation, where the consideration not wholly in money. Rule 2 talks about the supply between the distinct or related persons other than through agent. Rule 3 talks about the supply made through an agent. Rule 4, supply based on cost, then value will be 110% of the cost. Rule 5 talks about the residual method, which is really a endangering clause. And Rule 6 talks about the valuation in respect of certain supplies. Whereas Rule 7, valuation in case of pure agent. And Rule 8, rate of exchange of currency other than Indian rupees or valuation. These types of rules are already been drafted, and we need to see case to case basis when you go for the determination of value if it is not happening as per section 15. There are certain issues which are going to be dealt with. Sir is going to deal with each section and each of the rules in detail. So just as an introductory remark, certain issues which will be come in the discussion, and sir will explain on those issues. The rules provides for acceptance of transaction value in case of related party transaction where the relationship has not affected the price. I think this may or may not happen. If there is a related party transaction, there may be possibility of certain influence on the transaction price. The rule 2 provides for the transaction value of goods and services of like kind and quality being the basis for valuation. That's not so easy because circumstances differs. Even like kind of goods may be having a different pricing. The power to reject the declared value is with the proper authority. This is a very crucial things. and whatever you declare may not be accepted by the proper officer. Exclusion under provisions of pure agent, it is quite cumbersome, because if you see the list, sometimes it's very difficult for to get the benefits of pure agent concept. The provision states that where the value of goods and services cannot be determined under Rule 5, the value shall be determined using the reasonable means consistent with the principles of general provisions of this law. Now, this reasonability and all, it's always a matter of litigation for all of us. What we interpret and what department interpret, or the officer, proper officer will interpret, it is always a question mark for all of us, and then the matter goes into appeal. What about the reimbursable expenditures or cost incurred by or on behalf of the supplier in relation to supply of goods and service? As of now, also the unsettled law, the matters of intercontinental case is still in the apex court, where the decision is yet to come. What about the reimbursement expense, whether it is taxable in the hands of suppliers or the service provider or not? It's again the challenging method. Subsidies provided in the form of manner linked on supply or sought to be included, and any other taxes included in the value except CGST, SGST, UTGST, IGST, leading to cascading effect. Now, the valuation says except these 4 taxes, if any tax is there, it will be added in the valuation. So what are the taxes which are not subsumed? Probably those are going to be added to your value, and based on that basis, these taxes will be taxed. So there will be still some cascading effect is going to be there in our effect. And there is a consequential rule which you need to follow. So rule 1, if doesn't apply, do 2, 3, 4, like that we have to follow the consequential rules. But except in case of services, you can resort to rule 5 instead of rule 4. That benefit is possible, but that will be really difficult. These are some of the issues which are going to be discussed by sir also. The ancient economist R.A. Chanakya said, king must collect the taxes like honeybee. It should be enough to sustain, but not too much to destroy. Government must try to see that the taxes to be collected with ease of governance, ease of collection of taxes, but under GST, maybe God saves the taxpayer. How the mechanism will be and how it will be pinching to you or to the community as such, or traders, businessmen, it will be a big question for all of us. Friends, I end my introductory part over here and refer to the sir. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
नहीं कहा है आशीष वही कुछ कहाँ पे सेव किया आपने सर का नहीं आएगा वो कर देंगे
Chairman of the Vasai branch, dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. Unmesh Narvekar ji has briefed you about the various valuation issues. See, day in and day out, you all are determining the value for various products. Now tell me, when you go to shop and buy the goods, you determine the value of that goods. You pay him the price for the goods which he sells to you. What problem you face? Do you face any problem? You go to market and buy whatever you buy, medicine, cosmetic. We don't face any problem in determining the value. But when you go to that bhaiya and ask him, kya bhav diya? You start bargaining, isn't it? 2 रुपया किलो नहीं आधा रहे 1 रुपया किलो 10 रुपये का 3 नहीं 4 दे दो. You negotiate the value, but determine the certain value at that point of time. So if you look at in day-to-day life, determination of value really does not pose any problem. Because every day, every person carries out so many transactions for determining the value that he or she becomes experts. But when it comes to taxation, because there you are not paying the tax separately. He says 10 rupiya usme sab included hai. He says bread 15 rupiya, you give him 15 rupees, everything is included. But when you have to pay the tax on a certain value, at that time all the problem, because we as a chartered accountant, we are all expert chartered accountant, and we start planning how is the incidence of tax can be reduced. And every businessman in the society looks on us also. He'll come to us, sir, ये 100 रुपया नहीं भरने का, 90 ही भरने का है. And we will find out various means to determine that, isn't it? That's what we do. And chartered accountants are the best planner. I am sure you must have heard this joke, I must tell you this, how the chartered accountant is the best planner. अपने में बोलते हैं ना, ऊपर जाने समय आप कुछ नहीं ले जा सकते, सब यहीं छोड़ के जाना पड़ता है. But chartered accountant proves that also wrong. अब मैं आपको सुनाता हूँ कैसे. once Yamaraj comes to one chartered accountant and says, अभी आपका समय पूरा हो गया, आप चलिए अभी. He says, नहीं अभी तो बहुत सारा अपील करना बाकी है वहाँ ट्राइब्यूनल वगैरह में. You just wait, कहाँ अभी टाइम पूरा नहीं हुआ है. Then he says, nothing doing, आप चलिए. Then he further bargains him, अच्छा all right, चलना तो है अभी. आप बताइए, अपने में भारतीय संस्कृति में दोबारा जन्म होता है तो मेरा दूसरा जन्म कहाँ होगा. He says, that is top secret. We can't disclose to you. And we are all expert in pataving. So then he somehow manages, and the Yamaraj discloses to him that, look, your driver's wife is pregnant. When she delivers, you will take rebirth there. He says, all right, give me 1 minute. He goes inside and comes back. Yamaraj says, abhi kya kiya? He says, I have changed my will, and I have stated that when driver's son is born, then all my wealth should go to him. है कि नहीं? तो ऊपर जाके भी नीचे आने में हम अपना वेल्थ को सिक्योर करते हैं. Such is the planning of a chartered accountant. And that is where the entire problem on valuation comes. The entire problem on valuation comes on this account, that when we start planning that the tax incidence on the transaction should be minimized. I am not talking of cash transactions, but legally how it should be minimized. Then the department has to put valuation, provision, rules and all this thing. And I'll give you one instance, two instances to explain you this. Suppose you want to transport the goods from Bombay to Calcutta. You approach a transporter and he says, sir, I will charge you 30,000 rupees. That's a transaction value he charges you for the goods which he is going to transport. He is providing you a service of transportation of goods, and the transaction value is 30,000 rupees. Now you know that on this whatever tax I pay, I am not going to get a credit because these goods are pulses and wheats and rice on which there will be no GST. So the tax incidence has to be reduced because these are pulses, wheats, rice, vegetable, fruits, all will be non-taxable in GST. These are being essential items. We know that these will not be. So transportation cost on that needs also to be brought down. So you tell him, sir, all right, 30,000 rupees is a fixed amount, but now I will give you diesel. I will fill up your tank and I'll give you 500 liters of diesel, which will enable you to carry the lorry from Bombay to Calcutta. Now you tell me the price. Naturally, he will bring down the transaction value. He may quote 15,000, 20,000. Now when he quotes 20,000 rupees, that does not represent a transaction value, because some additional consideration has flown to him in the form of a free diesel. And that is where the rules comes in and says, if you have received any additional consideration, then you must add that amount to the transaction value. That is how the complication arises. I'll give you one more complication. Why this dispute on valuation? So many sponsorship you see, every day in day out you open TV, so and so sponsor Phalana Dinka, every program. Assuming, take example of Idea sponsoring Filmfare Award, very famous award. And then you see below, co-sponsorer. You have seen that, na? On your this, co-sponsorer, Go Air, Rent, or Car Wala, Mithai Wala, Hotel Wala, all these are co-sponsorer. Number of list is there if you go to see. Now what do? It's a, suppose Go Air is there. There are 30 contestants who are contesting Filmfare Award. One is located in Indore, one is in Chennai, other one is Hyderabad. There are various states, Chandigarh, Delhi. The responsibility of Go Air is to issue them the complimentary tickets and ensure that and bring them, provide a service of transportation of passenger and bring them to Bombay and drop it. Thereafter, the person who's there in the car wala, he will pick him or her up and will take it to the site where the competition will take place. Now the issue comes up. First and foremost, we have an accounting problem. In such barter transaction, the transaction is Go Air has provided the service of transportation of passenger, and in turn he has got the sales promotion service from the sponsorer. Isn't it? That's a transaction. If you examine the account, in barter transaction, nobody accounts these transactions. Most of the time you find that this all goes without recording. Why? We also have, forget Go Air. If you have any hotel wala as a client and you go to hotel wala and have lunch, he'll give you free. He will not dare to charge you also, auditor hai hamara. But rightly, the transaction is sale of food and the audit fees should be jacked up to that extent. Isn't it? That's the way you got it free. But koi karta hai kya? Nobody does it. I am not suggesting you start doing it also, but I am just explaining how the complication in the valuation starts. Now in this case, first and foremost, as I said, barter transaction, nobody records in the books of account. Even if somebody tries to record, what is the value you will take for a transportation of passenger? We all know that if the ticket is booked 3 months before, it will be 500 rupees. If the ticket is booked 1 month before, it will be 5,000 rupees. And if ticket is booked immediately, it will be 25,000 rupees. Isn't it? That is our daily experience. Now what value you will take? That is where the problem arises. You will take 500 rupees and department will take 25,000 rupees. And then you go on fighting between the two of you that sir, wo barabar nahi, ye barabar nahi, and all that we go on. That is where the entire rules and pictures comes into picture. And that's why, as I said in the beginning, valuation when you have to pay the tax is not that simple a transaction as we go and buy in the market. That's very simple. Every day you buy the commodities and you have no problem on determining value. But the day you have to pay the tax on that, you see how you start running on this thing. We also have that. You see, go for a marriages, go for a hotel booking. You fix the amount and then you say, sir, rukiye, aisa nahi, aisa kariye. So tax will come down. With this background, friends, let me start with this, the evaluation problem. Consideration already Mr. Umesh has covered this topic. Consideration both in cash and in kind is required to be computed to determine the transaction value. And therefore, in our example of a transportation, you have to have determined the value of a diesel, 500 liters of diesel which you are given, to determine the complete value of the service of transportation of goods from Bombay to Calcutta. We will not deal in this. Only good thing is the deposit given in respect of the supply of goods or service or both shall not be considered as payment. In many trade, deposit is always given as a trade practice. For example, you take anything on a rent, premises on a rent, you will always insist on certain security deposit. You compute for 6 months rent or 12 months rent or 18 months rent, whatever you compute it. That is to see that your asset which you are given is properly secured. It's called security deposit. And it's a trade practice to get that deposit. So therefore, you can't add that amount into consideration. But if you become overzealous and accept a huge amount of security deposit, by which the rent amount is deflated. So your rent is 50,000 rupees, and you tell him, sir, uske badle mein you give me 1 crore rupees fixed deposit, I'll reduce it to 20,000 rupees. You know that the person who is giving it on a rent, he will earn the interest of 8%, 9%, whatever he will earn. So he is asking for a more, and thereby you are reducing the value of the rent. Then this deposit will not apply. If the nexus of deposit with the value of a taxable supply is substantiated, then this rule will not apply. They will add the interest element to your rent amount. But if you are able to show that the trade practice, as a trade practice, I have taken the rent of 6 months, 8 months, or whatever that it is, this is only to secure my assets, or at the fag end, when he has to leave this premises, at that point of time, he may not, maybe for 1 month, 2 months, he may not pay me, and finally I will use this deposit to discharge that obligation. Then it will not be added to the value of the taxable supplies. So you have to see that as per the trade practice, whatever you are doing this. Now we come to the provisions of section 15. Kindly see, the value of a supply of goods or service or both shall be the transaction value, which we day in and day out work it out, which is the price actually paid or payable for the said supply of goods or services or both, where the supplier and the recipient of supply are not related. So if they are related person, I'll explain what is related person means. If they are related person, then the transaction value will have to be substantiated, that the transaction value is determined at arm's length, which means as if it is not given to a related person. For example, I sell one commodity to unrelated person, A person, at rupees 100, and I sell the same commodity to my son or my daughter also at 100, which means although son and daughter are related person, but the price has not been influenced because of that relationship which is between the two of us. If you are able to show that the price is not influenced because of the relationship, then that transaction will be accepted. In normal taxation law, it is called arm's length prices, that the consideration is not influenced because of the relationship of two of us. And it says price is the sole consideration for sale. I have explained this by example, that the transportation, diesel he got it, which means that 20,000 rupees we charge you is not the sole consideration of the price. Therefore, you are required to determine the price, reject the 20,000 rupees as the transaction value, and redetermine the value as per the rules, which is, we'll see the rules in this picture. The related person concept, before I go on to that, there are other following points shall be noted. The price shall be the sole consideration for sale. It means no other benefit shall accrue in cash or kind to the supplier of goods or services. Whenever there is a contractual obligation to pay the additional amount or pay something in kind, that only can be added to the value. If there is no contractual obligation to add or to pay something, that cannot be added to the value. For example, you are getting the interior decoration done in your house, and we all know that interior decorator although says 6 months, but वो 8 महीना 9 महीना लगाते रहता है. And this particular interior decorator is, you have entered into a contract and said 50 lakh rupees में सब कर देना, but he is able to finish within 5 months and is done extremely well. You are happy and you give him 2 lakh rupees extra. Nobody will give that, but I am assuming that. The 2 lakh rupees extra is not a contractual obligation, and therefore that cannot be added to a consideration. The contractual obligation is the most important aspect. We also in our day-to-day life do that. Let me explain this by your daily examples. Most of us go to temples very often, isn't it? What is the transaction? The trust has built up a temple, put up a murti of a whatever Lord is there, and it opens up for your darshan. You go inside, have darshan of the Lord, feel happy. There is no contractual obligation to put something in the dan peti. You follow? Nobody forces you after a darshan. And therefore, that is not a consideration. Whatever you put it, in spite of that, nobody forces you, put something in the dan peti. But that's not a consideration for your darshan because of the fact that there is no contractual obligation between you and the trust. But then, if there's a long queue, you buy the 200 rupees pass and all that you buy, no? To have a special queue and come back. Moment trust accepts this 200 rupees, it is contractually bound to give you darshan by a special queue. That's a consideration. Kindly see, always the consideration needs to be specified in the contract, and if the contract is beyond consideration, then it can be called as a gift or maybe ex gratia or whatever it is in this thing. Then the term related person. Now related person is a new concept. It is not there in the VAT, it is not there in the service tax. It's there in the central excise. And although it's the scope of definition of related person in the current GST law is much wider than the VAT and then the central excise. The taxable event is a supply of goods or service, therefore the amount received must have nexus to the supply of goods or taxable services. All the amount which you receive cannot be called as a transaction value. The taxable event is a supply. You must narrate the amount with the supply which you are making. So many examples can be given to explain this. Particularly in agents, when you go and buy the ticket, say airfare, go to air travel agent, buy the ticket, and you pay assuming 15,000 rupees to the agent. The amount which you have paid is for two services. One is the agency service which he has provided to you of booking of a ticket, and second is the transportation of passenger by air services, because airlines thereafter does not ask you to pay again. That 15,000 rupees which you are given is the entire consideration to ensure that you are transported from Bombay to Chandigarh or whatever place you have bought the ticket. So 15,000 rupees cannot be called as a consideration for the agency services provided by the agent. The agent commission may be 100, 500 or 1,000 rupees. The balance consideration is for transportation of passenger by air, which is provided by the airlines. Therefore, when you value the services of an agent, you don't have to pay GST on 15,000 rupees, because that is not the service supplied by him. He has only supplied the service of agency, and with that the amount is only 1,000 rupees, which is his commission. So always when you enter into a supply, see what he has supplied and then decide about the what amount he got for the supply which is made, and that will always be specified in the contract as to what is his obligation to supply, and therefore that much amount shall be added to this. The value shall be determined at the time of supply, and subsequent increase decrease has no value on this. Now, related person. As I said, the related person has been defined in section 15(5) and so and so. This is going to open a literally Pandora's box of the determination of value, because in service tax we never had related person concept, and now we have related person concept. How much it will create a problem, one cannot imagine also. See, we have, now let me explain this. Number of group has multiple companies. A group, ABC, A and company, B and company, C and company. Now all of them offices in one place. So somewhere what we do is we say uska ek table dikha do idhar. House where the accountant is working in this table. That's what we do, no? Now you put rent, अरे 200 रुपये rent दिखा दो, 250 रुपये rent दिखा दो, and entry pass कर दो. Now if it is a related person, he will say that 200, 250 rupees which he has given, rent will be rejected. You have to come to a open market price of the rent. Now you imagine, as a chartered accountant you must have understood. Transaction between the related person, friends, are day in and day out issues. Same proprietor, two company, partnership firm, wife, husband, brother, son, daughter, so much of partnership firms are there. Even in the group companies. In the group companies you take Tata Sons, we all know. You are aware of the Tata Sons. As a Tata group, they own Taj Hotel, Indian Hotel is a company. They own Tisco, Telco, so many companies they own. Employee of a Tesco goes and stays in the Taj Hotel. Now it's a transaction between a related person, because Tata Son is holding more than 25% in Tisco, and therefore it's a related person transaction. And Taj Hotel charges him 10,000 rupees for a room. Now Taj Hotel has to substantiate that this 10,000 rupees which he has charged is the price not affected because of the relationship. Up till now we had no issue, because service tax was on a transaction value. It did not have a concept of related person, and therefore whatever transaction you charge on 10,000 rupees was accepted and you paid service tax. In our accounting standard AS 18, all the names of related persons are indicated in the balance sheet, isn't it? You must have seen that. You have to examine the transaction with these persons and ascertain whether any of these prices, any of the value is affected by the relationship. Now here in our example, Taj Hotel must substantiate that I have charged him 10,000 rupees. Normal passenger, when he comes, I charge him 17,000 rupees. I have given him a discount of 7,500 rupees on account of the fact that he has promised me 200 nights in a month. It's a volume discount which I have given to him. It is not that I have lowered the price because of the relationship. And if anybody comes to me and promises me the 200 nights of a room in a month, I will give him the same discount. So he can sue the same contract with Larsen and Toubro, ONGC, IFCO, RPG Group, so many, wherever you are going into that. Now you look at it, such transaction is enormous. RPG, Seat Tires selling tires to their own companies. रोज देखते हैं ना आप टीवी में एडवर्टाइजमेंट में Seat Tires. The Seat Tire is owned by RPG Group. When it sells to other group companies, Seat Tire buys. It has to prove that the price is not influenced because of a relationship. Such a gigantic task it is. We also have so many accountant salary being distributed to so many companies in our smaller firms and all that. Then the other is employer and employer related. Employer related, we have so many issues on every employee gets a discount on the supply made by the employer. We normally call it employees discount, employees coupon. You have large retailers, you have any hotel person. Most of these hotels have scheme. If the employee is celebrating his birthday or wife's birthday or anniversary or children's birthday, on the food item they get 50% discount. To others they don't give. Now whether that employer-employee is related, that price is influenced or not, and sometimes it is given by the group. So if you own a hotel in X company, you start looking for a client who is running a hotel. That's a better idea. So if you are owning a hotel and your other group companies are there, sometimes you find even the other group company employees do get the discount for the supplies made by the agent, by the group companies. Now all these transactions will now come to a scrutiny, and scrutiny of the department. Department will always reject the discount. You will always try to say it is normal trade discount and all that. These problems will go on and so forth and so on. That's how the valuation problem starts. Then the transaction, now it's specifically provided that the transaction value will include any taxes, duties, cess, fees, charges levied under any law for the time being in force, other than so and so. So it will not include what is there in SGST, CGST and all that. Unmesh has already explained. Now you see in so many places, for a supply you have to pay the tax. Up till now we have been saying these taxes paid do not form part of the supply. These are compulsory extraction from us, and therefore this should not be considered as a value for the services rendered or goods rendered. You might find commercial rent. In commercial rent you pay the rent amount, and every owner is required to pay the municipal taxes for the premises. So if you are recovering 1 lakh rupees as a rent and you are paying 10,000 rupees as the municipal tax, today you are paying service tax on 90,000 rupees. But now the 10,000 rupees which you are excluding from there, will not be allowed to be excluded. Because what can be excluded from the value is only the taxes, duties, which is SGST, UTGST, CGST and IGST. So all your rent amount, taxes payable on the rent, will increase substantially. Now what I am saying about this rent is very common thing, but you go to APMC like WASHI, Agriculture Produce Marketing Committee. All APMC charges cess. When they allot the premises to you, that time they are charging cess. The Airport Authority of India also charges taxes. And when we go to airport have a soft drink, that is costing double the what we have soft drink here in Bombay, in outside the airport. Why? Because the rent amount is very heavy there. Now all of them, when they pay the taxes on that, it will get included in the value of transaction value, and tax your GST will be payable on that value. That's the main in the first one. Then any amount that supplier is liable to pay in such relation to such supply, but which has been incurred by the recipient of supply. Now this is where we all these two items, we always try to shift our burden, shift our cost to the purchaser, so that the consideration for a supply is less. I have to pay commission to the agent. I will tell the purchaser, you please pay agent my commission to the agent and pay me less. So if the consideration value of a particular transaction, your house we buy or we take on rent, if I have to pay the commission as a purchaser or as a purchaser, my purchase price will be high. If the seller pays it, my purchase price will be low. We always try, as I said, this is a normal trend. We always try to reduce the consideration for tax incidents. And this happens in 3-4 cases. One is when the value of supply is exempted. When you supply, that is exempt from payment of tax. Second is when there is no credit available. In some of the item, the person who has taken the input service credit must have explained to you that in some of the item the credit is not available. Works contract for immovable property. Now if you are constructing a mall, you incur so many expenses. Architect fees, banking, other financial banking services, for loan you have obtained, construction services, transportation services, security services, so many services you incur, erection commissioning. You are not entitled for a credit. And when you are not entitled for a credit, the entire planning starts of reducing the incidence of taxes. And that is where we try to shift the amount to other person. These two clauses intend to bring them in the tax net because of this. All this happens all these are written in the contract. Then interest or late fee or penalty for delayed payment of any consideration. This is a new thing. Up till now the interest was never considered as a part of a supply because interest is compensatory in nature. The interest is allowed because you have delayed the payment of a consideration for a supply. And it is not for a supply. For example, if you have supplied the goods to a person, he is supposed to pay you 5 lakh rupees. That 5 lakh is a consideration for a supply. But if he pays you after 6 months and you tell him, sir, you have to pay 50,000 rupees additional as an interest, that 50,000 rupees is not a consideration for a supply which has been made. It is for the delay in making a payment. But now they have extended the value to that also. They have stated that any interest amount which is there, which is payable by the person for delay in making the payment, that will be charged to included in the value. Only good thing is that normally what happens is when you charge interest, like suppose builder has given you notice that you make the payment of installment by 15th August 2017, and if you do not make this payment, we will charge you interest. That is their 21%, 24% interest. Very often, although the contract does say interest, but you start making a payment and builder accepts that payment, and all subsequent payment you go on making properly, then you finally, when you go for a possession, you tell builder, sir, ye interest chhod dijiye abhi, I have made you payment entire amount. And very often we also releases. Why in our society also we find, when we raise a bill of maintenance charges, the interest meter is there, the interest of 21% will be there. But if the man has not paid for 1 year, 2 years, and finally he comes to settle, he says, all right, interest chhod do, mool de do humko. That's a normal way of tackling. So, interest is included in the value only when you have received it. That's a time of supply. I'll explain that. So, interest is leviable to tax not at the time when you raise a debit note for recovery of the interest. It is taxes payable at the point of time when you actually received it. That's a face saving. Otherwise, bank, in the NPAs keep on charging interest. You must have seen that. In arbitration proceeding, for everything we go on charging interest. That's a common thing. Now, if you ask for payment of interest on accrual basis, that man will go mad. He will only pay GST. मूल तो मिलेगा नहीं, GST भी लगते जाएगा. So therefore, that luckily they have made a good sense. But after the interest is received, if you return it back, then you are gone. It cannot be that a person has given you 1 lakh rupees interest and then he subsequently comes and says, sir, now I have improved, I am making all the payments regularly to you. Then please return me with that 1 lakh rupees interest which is there. You may return it. GST will not be returned. That's the thing which we have to say. And when we talk of the value, inclusion in the value, the tax will be payable at the rate at which the main supply is attracted. If the main supply is exempt from payment of tax, alone on interest you can't charge tax. So you have supplied him grains, say wheats or rice, and you have supplied for 5 lakh of rupees and he has not paid you interest. He has not paid you, delayed the payment. Now the main supply, in main supply itself there is no tax because it is exempt from payment of GST. Then on interest he will not charge you. The interest will always go along with the supply which is made. So if your main supply is attracting 12% GST, this will also attract 12% GST on that. Here there is only one problem which will arise. In many trade, the amount which is recoverable is much higher than the service value. And therefore, you may recover the interest for a higher amount, but interest pertaining to your service value will be very less. For example, you are a stockbroker. Now you have purchased the item for somebody. 5 lakh rupees is the value of that item and 1% 5,000 rupees is your stockbroking fees. You are required to recover 5 lakh 5,000 from him. But your service value is only 5,000, not 5,05,000. You will charge him interest for 5,05,000, not for 5,000 alone. If you 5,000 का ही करेगा तो जिंदगी में नहीं देगा वो. What it says is, interest or late or penalty for delayed payment of any consideration for any supply. The supply is only stock broking service in our example, not 5 lakh which is a purchase and sale of securities. And therefore the interest will only be on that 5,000 rupees will be added to your consideration. And don't add 5 lakh 5,000 ka interest, and interest will be more than the value of broking, you know. But department will always charge कि आपको interest मिला है ना वो भर दो. That is what they will do it. So kindly see, and this happens in various trades. I gave the example of air travel agents, now stock broking. So many trades it happens that you are collecting on behalf of somebody else and you are passing on this amount to you. You have a transaction value recovered by the member of stock broker from the purchaser, and he passes on to the ultimately stock exchange. So therefore it is like this. Always included the interest, or to answer your question, the goods or services whichever the main supply, the interest will be added to that value on this. Certainly there is no prohibition. The other one person, recipient, will always get the credit for the GST which is paid on this value. Same it will go. It will follow the supply code, whatever is the supply code. Then no, it will not be included. Only alone interest will not be charged to tax. We are all talking of the inclusion of in value. So supply is exempted, 1 lakh rupees is the value of exempted supply. Exempted supply value will be 1,02,000. That interest is also 2,000. It can't be charged to tax. There are no two supplies. It's the main supply is the only supply. Now to determine a value, that this is what it is. Meaning I did not follow. Yes, if you want to give him a credit, without that to kaise hoga? He will ask for a credit if you ask him for interest. He will ask for a credit. Next is a discount which is given. Friends, in excise we had the MRP based valuation. If you look at this, those who deal with excise, there was a on some of the commodities, whatever is the maximum retail price printed on it, on that basis the value was determined, irrespective of the transaction value it is sold. Now in GST there will be no MRP based valuation, all will be transaction value, and therefore any discount which you give will be allowed as the deduction to you, provided it should be known to the customer prior to making a supply of goods. So whatever discount you say will be allowed. There are two types of discount. One is the discount which is given at the time of supply, which is shown in the invoice itself. And second discount, like turnover discount or volume rebate or whatever you call it, is given after the supply is made. Now what happens is, you are able to reduce the value for the post supply discount also, but the manner of computation is such that there is a lot of documentation involved in getting a reduction of the liability of GST for a post supply discount. For example, if you have sold the goods at 100 rupees and shown the discount as 10 rupees and 90 you paid GST, that input tax credit person will explain to you that moment you pay the tax on 90 and you declare that in the portal of a government, on 90 rupees whatever tax you have paid, the credit gets auto populated in the account of a recipient. The credit goes automatically, moment you declare that in 90 rupees that I have supplied to X person, that X person will get the credit based on your declaration. Now after 6 months you give him 5 rupees discount and you say this 90 should come down to 85. On 5 rupees you are entitled for a reduction in the output tax liability, GST. But the government says I have already given him 90 rupees credit to the other person. You ask him also to reduce that credit. You understood that point? Because it cannot happen the government reduces your liability but at the same time gives a credit of the higher amount to your recipient. Now for that purpose, government says you give me invoice wise discount which is given to him. So in a 6 months if you have raised 200 invoices on a particular customer and you are going to give him a 10 lakh rupees discount, he says 200 invoice wise you compute. For invoice number 1 it is 25,000, invoice number 2 20,000, invoice number 3 75,000, and like this you go on computing and declare to me. Because invoice wise I will verify. Invoice wise I will verify the fact whether the credit has been reversed by the other person. Now that is going to be a big challenge for all of us. If you look at today what we do is, when we look at the credit note, we make one credit note of 10 lakh rupees for all turnover discount 10 lakh rupees. At the most you will include the statement which is there. Now you have to make same number of credit note as are there in the invoice. So if sometime invoice runs into thousands, not much. And computation also has to be product wise. Very often marketing manager goes and that dealer keeps on crying. Sir, वो बहुत मुश्किल से बेचा है, ये किया है, so I give me more discount. And marketing says, all right, give higher. Now all that will not work. The documentation, if you want the output tax liability to be reduced, the documentation has to be perfect. If you do not give invoice wise breakup, the reduction in the output tax liability will not be accepted, and you will not, you may give 5 rupees discount, nobody bothers about that. You may continue to give 5 rupees discount, his receivable will reduce, but then the fact your output tax will not get reduced. So that's a change in the entire system which you have to make, and it is basically to ensure that the other person has reduced the tax the credit. That is going to be a big challenge for everybody, and possibly nobody will go for a post supply discount to be reduction in this thing. Don't pass on, then no problem. You just account in the books of account and then do it. There is no issue. That can be done. That the government doesn't bother. But if you want a tax reduction, then you have to do this thing. Of course, value of supply of goods or services or both cannot be determined under sub-rule 1. There are many transactions where value of goods or supply cannot be determined on a transaction value, and therefore government has to make the rules for this purpose, and they have made the rules on this. Now, one of the example can be when you sell foreign exchange. It's a service we are providing of exchanging the money. Now we all know that foreign exchange rates get determined by the market forces, demand and supply of dollar and all those things. So if you bought a dollar at 65 rupees and you are going to sell at 66 rupees, that 1 rupee which you earn is not on account of your services, but it is also on account of fluctuation in the exchange rate. We also account that in books of account, isn't it? Fluctuation in the exchange rate. मालूम है ना सबको? We say profit or loss. So that 1 rupee is not entirely on account of your service of the exchanging. It includes certain portion of the exchange rate fluctuation, and it is impossible to determine how much is for a fluctuation rate and how much is for the services. And therefore government says, you don't worry, I will determine the value for you and I will give you a formula, and that formula they have given in 15.4 in this thing, sir, rules. We may not have time to do all. Now see, we explained that when the consideration is not wholly in money, so your example of diesel which is given for a transportation, what would have normally done is, you add the value of a diesel and that's the end of the consideration. The government says, no, I will give you the formula as to how you determine. And that is where the problem starts on valuation. Now you see, value of goods or services consideration is not wholly in money, which is in our case, transportation of goods from Bombay to Calcutta. What are the rules? Be the open market value of such supply. So it is not that you can add diesel value, you will take any diesel value, say हमको सस्ते में मिल गया, इधर मिल गया, and I will add certain value. No, you can't do that. The government will look at his entire accounts and see Bombay to Calcutta where he has made the supply, when he has made the supply, and whatever is the highest rate they will pick up. That may not always be the case. In number of services, that may not be always be the case. In your case, like in our example, transportation also, if you know about the trade, the Masjid Bandar station you go, there are so many agents who are sitting with small table and one chair on this thing. What is their role? There are many owners of 3 trucks, 4 trucks, say in Hyderabad, Chennai, Ghaziabad, Meerut, all this thing. The truck brings the cargo to Bombay. From Meerut, the goods have come to Mumbai, offloaded. These owners will contact the agents. Sir, please ensure that whatever rate I get, my truck comes back to Meerut. Because if the truck remains here, the driver will claim TA, DA and will run away with diesel, and he may make some small transportation of 200 kilometers and say, "Sab kuch hua hi nahi hai." You will find that. And therefore he says, normal price is 25,000, but if 20,000 also you get it, you come here. Now that you can't say open market value is 25,000. You find this, आपके नाके में खड़े हो जाइए भाईंदर में. You have to go to Vapi. Those who are returning, those car fellows who are returning, I don't know whether you have experienced that. You can stand there and say, I have to go to Vapi. The car person will drop you in 100 rupees at Vapi. Because he has brought certain passenger to drop at the airport, and he has to return to Vapi, even empty. So therefore he feels जो 150 जो मिला वो लेके बिठा के ले चलो. The 100 is not the open market value. The government says you determine the open market value, not the value of a diesel. And therefore it will have to look at entire accounts to determine what is the open market value of the supply which I made. If the open market value is not available, I mean in a sense that you have never driven your truck from Bombay to Calcutta, then you can say open market value is not available. Then it says, if the open market is not available, is the sum total of consideration money and any such further amount in money equivalent to consideration not in money if such amount is known at the time of removal. So if the open market value is not available, you add the value of diesel and get it. But first you say why open market value is not available, and that will be very difficult to argue. Because one cannot say what is not the open market value. In your own case, you will find that the truck value is, the transportation cost is available. Third is, if the value is not determinable, that be the value of supply of goods or service of both like kind and quality, that is impossible to determine. We all know, we are all chartered accountant qualified, institute has given us a degree holding COP. Somebody giving an opinion, same opinion, X chartered accountant gives, he will charge 5,000 rupees, Y gives, he will charge 10,000 rupees, and Z gives, he will charge 50,000 rupees. Isn't it? That's our experience. Same job. Now can you say like, kind and quality? आप नहीं बोल सकते. But department can argue. ओ देखो वो तो 50,000 चार्ज करता है. Now 50 आप you have 5,000 चार्ज किया, 45,000 पे आप GST भर दीजिए. That is how the valuation problem starts. और मिला भी नहीं होगा तो GST का तो आ ही जाएगा चार्ज. Then if the value is not determined by A, B, C, the sum total of consideration money and such further amount of money that is equivalent to the consideration that I already explained to you. This is what is explained in this thing, how this is there. Now by this time you must have understood, friends, I have short of time actually. By this time you have understood the valuation in taxation angle is not that easy. And the disputes on classification, valuation and SENVET or the input tax credit will keep us busy for, it has kept us busy for last 7 decades, and another 7 decades also we will be busy in solving that issues, don't worry. And I see some young faces here, if you learn the value and all this thing properly, your future is very bright. With this, thank you very much, friends.
We can take up few questions, sir, for 5 minutes. Right? Anyone? Please. One by one. Please stand up on your place. Ladies first.
Yes. Yes.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, it's working. So my question is, we were looking at valuation. I wanted to know, I work for a non-profit organization. We get a lot of volunteers doing the work. So basically, today in the whole session, I learned that those services will also come into the armpit of GST. So these volunteers do not charge as a hefty amount. They normally work for a very nominal prices. So what will be the valuation in this case?
If the department has to reject the transaction value, means whatever you pay to a volunteer, the department must substantiate that any other extra benefit has flown to you.
Okay.
That means you are paid to him X amount, but in addition to you are paid him by any other means. As in our example, if he has not given diesel and is mainly only taken on 20,000 rupees, then you can't say it's not represented transaction value.
Okay.
So that's a transaction value if they can't do that. I mean, they can't substantiate this.
One more question, sir. Like, we pay them some amount, which is a very small amount. Then we give them other benefits like health coverage, accidental policy, to take care of the time they spend in the field. So that
will get
be
proportionately
included.
added
So
to
that
that.
will be included. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, please. Please pass on mic there.
हाँ देंगे रुको यार, आ जाओ इधर आ जाओ,
Please stand up.
मैदान में आ जाओ यार, उतना पीछे क्यों?
आप खड़े हो जाइए.
हाँ. Not necessary. Discount to be shown in the invoice is not necessary.
Because value of product is
Value of product is not MRP, it's a transaction value. So if you are selling at 90 rupees, 100 rupees transaction value, it will be 90 only.
10 rupees of product value, but we are showing you are selling at 100 rupees, but 90 rupees are discount.
That's all right. Then you show. If such is a huge amount, then you show
Huge
that.
amount is there.
No problem.
Thank you.
Sir, what will be the,
One minute, one by one.
sir?
That's the open market value. It's the open market value.
Sir,
He is not yet done. Just hold for a minute. Let him complete.
Sir, under the existing provisions of the excise, when we do the captive transfer,
There's a cost plus 10%.
Yeah,
Same
but-
formula is here also, provided you to go on open market value and all that.
Yeah, so-
First
Yeah.
you say open market value is not available, then you can go.
so whether in GST Rule 2, which say that if transaction between the distinct person or related party, then there is open market value. And proviso says that if other person is taking full credit,
Yeah, you show it on this basis.
so whether this will
This will work.
precede
Yeah.
over the Rule 4.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you have shown on the invoice cost plus 10%, that will work it out.
Okay.
Okay.
But this is the rule 4 now, right, sir?
Yeah, I know. Rule numbers we forget it.
Sir, valuation.
आप बोलिए ना, ladies first.
So you had given example for diesel in that you told कि free जो हम उनको देंगे वो भी हमको add करना है for GST valuation. How will we prove that? कि we
No,
have
there is a
given to
contract.
the-
Contract, that's why I said in contract it will be specified.
Okay. Suppose if it is not specified in the contract part.
Then he will not run, madam. He will
Sir,
not.
क्योंकि वो document पे आपके letter पे या invoice पे तो sorry आएगा ही नहीं तो then.
No,
how will
contract
you-
से ही मालूम पड़ेगा. That's why I gave the example of temple also. The contractual obligation should be there on your part. That's the most important aspect.
Okay, thank you.
Next.
Sir, in this.
हाँ प्लीज कंटिन्यू
Sir.
हाँ बोलो सर आप जोर से बोलो
Sir, in case of a retail business, like business offers buy one get one free.
That will be value which you pay for that.
So
So
that
if-
will the value.
Yes.
Sir,
Yes.
in case of like I'm having 2-3 doubts. The first doubt is like we are in OMC where our cylinders we send it like we have a plant in XYZ state. Then we do interstate transfer. Then that cylinders goes there and again we get the empty cylinders. So my first doubt is can I do stock transfer on zero value? The reason because
That's it, that they have specified. If you
If
are
it-
doing that in a returnable basis, then you go under a challan. Rule 10 is there of valuation. Rule 10 of the invoice rule you refer.
means I can do it at
Yeah,
zero
yeah,
value.
you can.
That is the first thing, sir. And second thing is my company. I'm saying in my company quarters. So services from an employee to an employer is exempt. But what about the services what the employer is providing to an employee?
That residential anyway will remain exemption category. So don't worry about that.
So-
You will have exemptions on that basis. Don't
and
worry.
the last
Unless you are too keen to pay GST, I don't know.
Sir, hello.
One minute.
so the
minute.
last doubt. Can I like I'm having two services like MS is out of GST and we collect some service charges on sale of MS from the retail outlets. Let us suppose I've sent 100 liters of MS means petrol. I have to collect 100 into 1 rupee from the retail outlet owner. Now this SSLF rental will be under GST and this MS means petrol will not be under GST. Now how to take about this?
No, 1 rupee will get associated with petrol only, nothing separately.
I need not pay any
No,
GST
no
on
service charge. भी नहीं आएगा. Yeah.
Disco where
All.
that benefit of 10,000 and 7,000 difference. So like that in retail industries also we are selling product to the group companies. So
That will come in a problem.
so how the prices will be
No,
determined?
arm's length price. Same goods if you have sold to any other person,
Yeah.
that will be the price.
Now, if you only selling to the single that related party only, then how it will be determined?
Only related parties?
Only related party.
Then you will go on open market value.
Open market value.
Yes. Don't do that.
Okay, close. Sir, can you spend just 1 minute on soul selling agencies? Like there is a person who's a distributor of a foreign company. I'm exclusive distributor of that foreign company. So
No problem.
My prices are controlled by him. So do I become a related party?
No,
Then nothing like
you
that.
do become a related party, but it doesn't affect you.
So there is nothing on valuation. Thank you.
Sorry, friends, I have to
वन
leave.
क्वेश्चन
Yeah.
लास्ट क्वेश्चन सर मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि वैल्यूएशन कौन करेगा सपोज करिए डिपार्टमेंट ने आर्बिट्ररी वैल्यूएशन कर लिया तो
Show cause
हमारे पास
notice.
कोई ऑप्शन है क्या
शो
चैलेंज
कॉज
करने का
नोटिस आएगी सर, लड़ते रहिए, हम होंगे कामयाब, डोंट वरी.
Thank you everyone. I would request to please, we'll offer a memento as a token of love and affair. I request CA Pramod Dhamankar ji, past chairman of Vasi branch of WIRC, to offer a memento to our session speaker CA SS Gupta ji. I would request CA Amit Agarwal, Deputy Convener of Mahinder CP Study Circle, to present a memento to CA Unmesh Narvekar, past Chairman of Vasi branch of WIRC. I would request CA Rajesh Kotak ji, Deputy Convener of Vasai Virar CP Study Circle, to offer a formal vote of thanks for the last session. Please, sir.
At this moment, I am reminding morning time where CA Manish Gadia sir has taken lecture on concept of GST, where he had started with dual control, dual tax, etc. Similarly, I am having here dual vote of thanks. Firstly, our own Vasai branch member, CA Unmesh Narvekar, first speaker, he had rightly briefly introduced the valuation background to us with the concept of fair value based on which the tax is levied, methods of valuation, chapter 4, variation rules, and lastly had concluded with that all the tax are not subsumed and hence some cascading effect will be there. And sir has rightly made the background for us to understand the concept from the further speaker, CA SS Gupta. So I request join with me to give a loud round of applause to CA Unmesh Narvekar. Secondly, the senior speaker and expert on international indirect taxation, that is the CA SS Gupta sir. Sir has taken valuation of taxable supply and valuation rules. Sir had explained with the help of various day-to-day example, that is the sign of a great speaker. He had taken the example of vegetable wala, contractor, temple, Taj Hotel, and so many other examples. And sir, we are really very thankful for giving us the best story on how the CAs are the best planner. And sir has covered planning concept, then how the complication and disputes arises and how the valuation starts, considering the consideration concept, related person concept, transaction value, discount, etc. Sir has taken very nice efforts and elaborated us with the valuation concept in detailed manner. So I'll request all of you give a loud round of applause to CA SS Gupta. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh ji.